Well, it happened again. You guys can see from the title of the podcast, you know what our lead story is going to be today. LaMelo Ball hurt again. And this one, we don't know exactly what this is going to be like, but this is a little bit soul crushing if you have Ball. I only have him in one team, so I feel like I sort of semi kind of a little dodged a bullet there, but honestly, I don't have a great answer as to what to do right now because this is Ball's third ankle sprain of the season. It's been the primary reason for him not getting anywhere near his expected value this year because on a game-to-game basis he's actually been like pretty decent. He's number 29. I thought he would probably be, close to 20 on a per game basis, and hanging out just a little bit behind that because his field goal percent is down is pretty expected. But he's only at 22 ball games, and he's going to miss, I would assume, at least a week, probably more. When you have this thing, like think of Steph. When Steph kept turning the same ankles over and over and over again, one, then the other, then back to the first one, then the same one 2 times in a row, eventually you have to just get off of it for a while. And then the other unfortunate part of all of this is that the Hornets are basically into a tank now. So there's really no rush to bring him back. You probably can't get anywhere near fair value if you were going to sell on Ball. And I don't think I have the stones to buy on him. There's some guys out there, there's some injured players where I'm like, look, this is an opportunity. You sort of jump in. Kevin Durant is one of them. I think he can be had at a pretty good price. He's like thinking about traveling on the Nets' upcoming trip, which I don't think he's going to be back. But remember, so like the news came out that he was going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, and then more news came out on KD that it was probably going to be closer to a month. And then people were like, well, he's just going to take 6 weeks and go through the All-Star break. We don't actually know what the real answer is on KD. He might show up a little bit early. You know me, I play in Roto. I'm always looking at guys that might be a little bit of a value. I think Kevin Durant comes back, and I think he's awesome when he comes back. I'm quite afraid of LaMelo Ball here because of all of these injuries, because they keep compounding. I don't know when he's going to come back, and I don't know what the Hornets are going to do with him when he does. But if you have him, you kind of, I would assume, just probably need to hang on. I would consider selling for top 40. I don't know if anybody's going to give you that, but just look at your friendly neighborhood rank board and go from there. On the flip side, it's Dennis Smith Jr. time. I picked him up everywhere on planet Earth, everywhere that I could get him. There's like one league where I didn't quite move fast enough, but to me, he's a must roster player right now. He was top 60 at the beginning of this year when Ball was out. He actually improved a tiny bit on that when Terry Rozier was out as well. But Dennis Smith, I would think, is sort of like an easy cruising top 75 right now. And that's remind you that Gordon Hayward is also still out. And as bad as Hayward's been, he does do a little bit of the ball handling stuff. So it's just, opportunity as far as the eye can see for Dennis Smith Jr., who did get in, got 29 minutes in yesterday's ball game, got 9 points, 7 assists, a steal. Many games, the defensive stats will be higher than that. Don't expect him to score a ton. And if you really want to know like what to expect, go back to the Dennis Smith Jr. game log and just look towards the beginning of the season before he got hurt, when he was playing more like 33-ish, 32, 33 minutes a ball game. He was in the like 13 points, 7-ish assists. And then the real key for him was that, he had a 6 steal ball game in there. He had a 4 steal ball game in there. He actually got like 10 blocks over the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. That's what you're going for, because he's not getting many 3-pointers. He's not a good foul shooter, but luckily he doesn't take any. And he's not a great shooter from the field either. But when you're that prolific defensively, he's averaging 2.1 defensive stats in only 25 and a half minutes per ball game. So you can click that up a little bit. The assists, the steals, the blocks, there's enough there to make him a grab. And I'm hoping that the usage part does sort of figure itself out, and maybe he gets back to like 12 or 13 points so that category is not a big negative for him. But that's the big story of the day, I would think, is that with Ball going down and a no-rush timeline, whatever it might be, is going to be a no-rush timeline, Dennis Smith Jr. needs to be on rosters. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's your intro today. It wasn't a rant. It was a here's something you got to do pretty quickly. And the only issue with the Dennis Smith Jr. stuff is that I don't think he has his next ball game for like another 2 days. They play Saturday. There's only one game left this week, so that makes it a little bit tougher on the head-to-head side. If you could try to delay picking him up until, I don't know, tomorrow, I doubt you can go all the way to Saturday. Maybe your league. Everybody's so obsessed with streaming that he hangs out until 12:01 a.m. on Saturday morning. But if I would wait that long, like we might get 3 or 4 weeks of top 50, top 60 production out of this dude. That's probably worth just squatting on a day where he's not playing. Maybe 2. I know. Streaming is the way. Anywho, I am Dan Vespers, at Dan Vespers on Twitter, DanBesbris. This show, Fantasy NBA Today, is a Sports Ethos presentation. That website, sportsethos.com. At Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter, 9,164. That's the number of followers for that Ethos Fantasy BK feed, and it should be way the hell higher than that. It's so good. If you're going to do me any favors on today's show, I guess I have 2. Favor number 1, follow Ethos Fantasy BK. Favor number 2, go check out our YouTube page. It's blossoming. It's blossoming in the sunlight, everyone. It's Sports Ethos is the link there, youtube.com/Sports Ethos. Please go check that out. We're doing these shows Tuesday through Friday, typically live on YouTube, in addition to the recorded podcast that many of you are listening to as well. The advantage to watching on YouTube, number 1, is you get to view it before everybody else. This word that you're hearing, if you're watching it on YouTube, you're probably hearing it about an hour before anybody on the podcast channels even has access to it. And at the end of, let's say, 90% of our live YouTube shows, I take questions in the chat room that you guys don't hear on the recorded side. So I think that's a pretty good reason to come watch live. But let's go ahead and dive into yesterday's card. Like I said, things are, I got to move along a little bit today. It's a super busy day for me. I don't want this show to go 45, 50 minutes. So we're going to try to tackle the most important things as we work through it. And there were a couple in this Atlanta-Dallas game to sort of kick things off on this delightful Thursday morning. Clint Capella has basically jumped Okongwu in the pecking order. And for Atlanta, defensively, he's just superior. Okongwu has some nice offensive moves now. We've seen him. He can rack up defensive stats, but that's different than actual defense. And you can start to look at the plus minus with these things. And yeah, I mean, some of it's going to be the units that they play with, but Capella around the rim is just such a huge difference maker for the Hawks. He makes life hard for other teams' big men and then guys who drive. So Okongwu, I don't think there's any real reason to hold on to him through the trade deadline. The Hawks aren't trying to move Capella. He's a big part of what they're trying to do. They can't afford. I mean, John Collins, we know he's been on the trade block forever. If he moves, they probably go more smaller lineups. You'll see more DeAndre Hunter. You'll see, I don't think it changes Okongwu's trajectory that much, although maybe they run him together for like 2 minutes a ball game, but that's really not enough floor spacing in the modern NBA. Bogdanovic continues to be a buy low. I still haven't really done what I promised to figure out what he's going to cost you, but he's slumping in his shooting right now. Everything else is fine. 5 assists, a steal, 2 3-pointers. If he makes 1 or 2 more shots this ball game, no one's talking about how he's in a slump. On the Dallas side, Dorian Finney-Smith came back. He had 9 points, 9 boards, and 3 assists. Tim Hardaway Jr. was out. And, everybody's like, hey, should I pick up Dorian Finney-Smith? I'm like, well, I mean, we saw this team healthy at the beginning of the year, and he didn't do anything then. And now Christian Wood is doing more. The only reason why you might look at Finney-Smith is if the Mavericks go smaller more often, which is more Christian Wood at center, more Finney-Smith at power forward, as opposed to like their starting lineup yesterday, for instance. Dwight Powell was the center, Wood at power forward, Finney-Smith at small forward. That's not good for fantasy value. But I need to see consistent production out of Finney-Smith before I do anything there. Other than, I think for now, you could probably call him like a schedule stream. And same deal for Reggie Bullock as long as Tim Hardaway Jr. is out, because he'll get a couple of 3-pointers that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. I mean, maybe THJ's back for the next ball game. These are not guys I'm springing towards. And frankly, I mean, I can look it up, but off the top of my head, I don't know if the Mavericks have a particularly favorable schedule in the next like 3 to 5 days. I mean, we pull it up on the screen. Yeah, they pretty much just go every other day for like the next week. That's going to get a big meh from me. Let's talk Washington, New York. My good buddy Daniel Gafford is a drop. I was hoping that he would be able to hang on and put up some numbers, and he was part of all of the units that were winning this ball game. But he got some fouls early, came out about 5 minutes into the game. He played another 5 or 6 minutes at the end of the first half. He only, I think, played... No, he didn't actually. Excuse me. He played more in the second half than the first, but it's not consistent enough. We needed him to be more in that. We've talked about it plenty, so I don't want to rehash it too many times, but we needed him to be more in that consistent 24-minute range. And, 17 to 21 just isn't going to be enough. Monte Morris had another decent ball game. I don't think you can trust him, really. Bradley Beal was back. He only took 11 shots. Beal was generally going to do more than that. Denny Avdia had more going in this ball game because the Wizards, just as a team, were shooting the ball really well from three-point land. So everybody got a little bit extra. The player that I do want to continue to keep an eye on is DeLon Wright, who had another good ball game, but the minutes were back down. So I'm kind of in this balancing act here where, Corey Kispert probably doesn't get to play very much when these guys are playing well. Is there a future for the Wizards where DeLon Wright picks up another 6 minutes per ball game at the expense of, say, Monte Morris or Denny Avdia? Could they run those types of units? I don't know. I don't see many places for him to add minutes here while these guys are healthy. So I badly want to pick up DeLon Wright, but I'm not doing it because 22 minutes consistently just isn't enough. 2 blocks and a 3-pointer and 4 for 4 free throws. These are things that you can't expect out of DeLon. The steals, yes. Some assists, yes. But, I mean, we might as well go Dennis Smith Jr. because he's probably almost this same exact stat set, but just you're looking at like an extra 10 minutes per ball game. Over on the Knicks side, Mitchell Robinson banged his thumb and sprained it, which is a really big deal for the Knicks. He's a huge part of what they do defensively, and you can see it. I mean, Washington put up a $116 on him. I don't know if you guys remember when we used to talk to Bogman all the time, and we used to hashtag things thumb stuff, but this is thumb stuff. No, they're not going to play Isaiah Hartenstein all that much. They're just going to go Julius Randle at the 5 more regularly. What this does mean, and we saw Jericho Sims actually pick up about 20 center minutes, is if this means that there are like 10 center minutes that normally would have gone to Mitchell Robinson, they don't really want to give to his backups, that would mean a little more Randle at the 5, which is hard in this game because Porzingis is, 7'1", 7'2". Like, you can't put... What's Randle? 6'8"? What's he, a roster 6'9"? That's not... I mean, I know he can rough up Porzingis, but Kristaps could just flip it right over his head. So you had to run a little Jericho Sims, who did foul out, by the way. If they're not playing a team with a 7'2" big man, they probably, the Knicks, this is the they here, can go to a more Emmanuel Quickley small ball lineup, which they kind of did in this one. Quickley got 32 minutes. I think he's an ad, actually, in head-to-head while we try to figure out what's going on with Mitchell Robinson. On the Roto side, you can probably hold off a little bit, or if you want to add him and then stash him, I don't know how many roster spots you have open, but Gafford looks like he's fallen on hard times, and the Lakers center situation, we'll get to that a little later. That's possible drop guys. Kyle Lowry came back, so the Heat have some guys you can drop. There are possible drops here, so when I'm talking about these ads, I think there are actually kind of corresponding names you could look at. But this is really interesting for Quickley. The 32 minutes is really interesting. That's not a number he's getting to under most circumstances. Now, Randle had a little bit of foul trouble himself. He had 5, but he still played 34 minutes instead of 38, 37, 38 in a normal Tom Thibodeau starters ball game. That to me is not like that. That's not enough to move quickly from cut line to ad line. he's someone that might still be on a lot of rosters just because he had played so well when a bunch of Knicks were hurt. So he's probably not heavily available in your league. That said, there may be something there if Robinson has to miss time and the Knicks decide they want to go smaller. Thunder win again. Contributions from all across the board. The Pacers, without Tyrese Halliburton, are bad. They're not even okay without Halliburton. They're flat out bad. Miles Turner got 20 minutes here, picked up 6 blocks in a blowout loss in only 20 minutes, which is pretty amazing. His continued, I mean, we still don't really know what's going on there because we've heard that he's in contract negotiations. We've heard that they're breaking down. If I'm, fantasy-wise, I don't think there was a whole lot in this ball game. I've been on this podcast saying hold on to Andrew Nembhard because all he needs is to see a couple shots go in, and then everything's going to tip for him. And that's what we got here in a much better ball game. TJ McConnell is an obvious hold. He wasn't as good in this one, but he's been great filling in. I still don't really like Benedict Matherin's fantasy game, but he probably is playable while Halliburton's out. He's more the fringy guy for me. My main thoughts, I have no thoughts on the Thunder outside of what we've already been doing, which is playing Jalen Williams. Josh Giddey's been better. Shea, obviously. No, you're not rolling Kenny Hustle. Kenrich Williams had 10 assists. That's pretty weird. Isaiah Joe, you're not rolling with him. It's just not consistent enough. On the Indy side, if you're trying to figure out what's actually going on there, and Buddy Hield had a bad ball game, but he'll be fine. The reports that you hear coming out, trade deadline related, are all about what team is trying to move the price tag. So when you hear that Miles Turner is deep into negotiations with the Pacers, that's the Pacers putting that out, obviously, because they want to make sure that other teams know, hey, we are willing to keep this guy, because that makes their position feel stronger. And when you hear the report that, oh, the negotiations are breaking down, and then the Pacers might have to entertain trade offers, that's other teams who want Miles Turner putting that out into the water. Hey, we heard, blah, blah, blah. We heard that things are not going that well in negotiations, because they want to make it seem like the Pacers are going to have no choice but to try to get value from him on the trade market. This is all the next, I mean, it's 3 weeks from today. The trade deadline is all about reading between the lines. That's the big thing right now. Read between the lines on the trade market. Okay? Nothing that you hear is real. Everything is just somebody trying to get a little edge. Karis LeVert was better than I expected. Played 42 minutes, so that's part of it. But 23 points, 4 boards, 6 assists. He was actually relatively efficient in the Cavs' last-second loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks. Yeah, I know. I still don't trust LeVert to start in a roto league. You could probably start him in head-to-head while Donovan Mitchell's out. And I don't know. I'm so many people keep asking me, should I drop Ricky Rubio? And I'm like, why did you add him? It feels very strange. I know that this is like me complaining. It's old man shouting at the clouds. But when I go on this podcast and I say, I don't think you need to add Ricky Rubio, and then someone comes to me and is like, hey, I have Ricky Rubio. What should I do with him? I'm like, turn my podcast back and go back 3 days. You don't need to worry about it, man. They're going to bring him along really slowly. And he probably needs at least one, probably 2 guys out in front of him for it to make any sense. No real fantasy notes there other than LeVert head-to-head. Miami blew out the Pelicans. Pels, they're just down too many bodies right now. No Zion, no Herb, still no Ingram. Although I think there was some video of Ingram inching closer, which, it's like, enough of these videos. Just play or don't play, dude. I don't need to see video of you playing. Somebody give me a damn timeline. Somebody tell me he's getting close. The rest is crap. You can throw out a lot of the box score here on both sides because this game was over real early. Kyle Lowry came back, played 22 minutes. That number will slowly increase. He actually played relatively well, and I still have people like, hey, should I dump him now? I'm like, dude, he just came back from missing 2 weeks. They're not going to push him in this first game, but he had 8 boards, 4 assists, a steal, a 3-pointer. He'll be okay. Jimmy Butler had a bad game. Nobody's asking if they should drop him. I know. Tyler Hero, not much there. The starters did exactly what they needed to do to open up a massive lead, and then the reserves kept opening. No changes. Trey Murphy, I still think, is streamable on the Pels side. I know, he's been fluctuating, but this has been generally better than bad. And that's probably as far as I go. I still don't really like Najee Marshall's game for the roto side. If you badly need counting stats, like literally just points, boards, and assists, then he can give you some of those. But there are better stream options out there than Najee Marshall. And his teammate Jose Alvarado has actually been better than him most nights lately anyway, from a like across the board perspective. But I also don't think he's on the right side of the line, at least when it comes to the roto side. We talked about LaMelo Ball. Charlotte beat Houston half of the game without LaMelo because Terry Rozier every day looking a little bit more like himself. Overall on the season now, he's up to number 123. I feel like every time we check in on Rozier, he's up 10 more slots. And where does that put him over the last month now? He hasn't even been good for the last month. He's shooting 44% over that stretch. He's number 85 over the last month. Over the last 3 weeks, he's number 74, shooting 46.5%. And how about the last 2 weeks? I feel like it's been even better than that. 28 the last 2 weeks, shooting 49%. Now, I get it. You're going to say, okay, Dan, well, he's not going to shoot 49% for the entire year. That's right. He won't. But he shot so terribly at the beginning that you could actually expect him to shoot 50 to 55% for a couple of weeks here as part of this like needle coming back to the middle type of thing. But, I mean, if you're looking for other storylines with this team, besides just the Dennis Smith Jr. pickup, Mark Williams had 17-6 with 5 blocks. Mason Plumlee actually had a good ball game and still played 29 minutes. But he's very much a candidate to be traded. Frankly, he should be for anything because he's on an expiring deal. And, I mean, there's really almost no reason for him to want to be back in Charlotte, although maybe next year they, like, make a push at it. So I wouldn't totally write it off that he might try to come back, but my guess is that he'll test the open market and they may trade him for get a second round pick or a protected late first or something like that. They'll try to get what they can. And Mark Williams is the dude waiting in the wings. He makes a ton of sense as a keeper style pickup. And maybe you get lucky and things turn good by the trade deadline. Houston, Alperen Sengun built off his last good ball game with another good one. Now everybody beats up on the Hornets, so I don't want to read too much into it, and everybody beats up on Thomas Bryant, but still nice to see him playing with some confidence. Jalen Green had one of his kind of out of the blue big shooting games. It's still, I mean, it does feel like he should sort of level off somehow. Maybe a few more like this, and we'll forgive the first 3.5 months of the year. Jabari Smith Jr. also tweaked an ankle in this ball game. That likely means more KJ Martin if he has to miss any time. He's kind of the first man off the bench to slide into the starting 5. Kevin Porter Jr. was very close. He was a game-time decision that did not play, so I'm guessing he'll be back for Houston next game, and then that just readjusts what everybody actually gets to do on a game-to-game basis. Pausing the recorded show to remind everybody that's hanging out with us on YouTube. First of all, hi. There's a bunch of you that actually just popped in, and I don't know if that's because, it's because that's because another tweet, my scheduled tweet just went out. So hi, everybody. Welcome in. I think a bunch of you just saw the tweet. We're rolling. We are, where are we at? We're a little more than halfway through the box score recap, but there's still plenty of time for you guys to get your questions in the YouTube chat room. Those of you watching now, I need 2 things from you. Maybe 3. First of all, there's like 40 some odd of you watching and only 15 likes on the show. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I'm just going to mutter dumb stuff at you for the next 2 minutes until that number gets up and over 20. So somebody's got to go like it. There's a bunch of you that are sitting there and you haven't hit the button. Anybody new that's enjoying what we got going on here with all the Q&As and all the live shows and all the cool stuff we're putting out on YouTube these days, and we're trying to up the tech side of it, but it's touch and go there. Please do subscribe to the page as well. It's very easy. I think the button's on. Isn't it right there somewhere? Do you have to go to the Sports Ethos page to hit subscribe, or can you do it on the page? I sound like such an old man. I feel like there's a way. I don't know. I'm logged in as Sports Ethos, so I truly don't know what the answer is to that question. But it just rocketed over 20, so you guys have done your part there. Again, get those questions in. Yes, even you, Steve, I see your pizza question. You can ask me anything. I might not answer it, but it doesn't even have to be a fantasy question. Pop that sucker in the live chat, and we'll get that going at the end of the show. let's dive back into the recorded stuff. Thank you, everybody that went over and clicked the like button. Next on the docket, Utah got Lauri Markkanen back, and the Clippers went full scheduled L for this ball game. You guys might remember on yesterday's show, I went on a rant about how unbelievably hard it is to travel into altitude off the late Pacific time game the night before, and how a team that's already being careful with their guys, there was no chance anyone of merit was going to play in this game unless they were like, I am 100% fine and I have all the energy in the world. So, not surprisingly, two superstars for the Clippers did not play. This is, again, what they call a scheduled loss. You just take it. They played some of their other guys thinking, hey, maybe we catch lightning in a bottle. And then as soon as they realized they weren't, then they got all those guys out. And the Clippers will rest up their non-star regulars for the next one. Everybody was wondering why I had a double burger on Norman Powell yesterday. And it's because he was going to be the only guy left that could score on this team. He had 30. Huge ball game for Powell. Everybody also wondered why I only had one burger on Terrence Mann, and it's because I do think a lot of what he does is built off of energy, and I figured he wasn't going to have any, and he didn't. He didn't even deserve the one burger. You deserved no burgers yesterday, Terrence. I also wondered if Rob Covington might see a little bit of playing time. He didn't, so I think we can probably kind of forget about whatever was going on there. And frankly, you can forget everything you saw in this game for the Clippers. And just like if you want to scan their schedule, find out if they have another altitude back-to-back. I doubt it. That would be mean. But this would be the, file it in the Rolodex as the one tiny piece of data we have on that one. Utah side needs a little bit more discussion here. So let's spend a minute or two on the Jazz. First of all, Lauri Markkanen came back. He looked amazing. 34 and 12, 6 3-pointers. He's having an unreal season. It's a rare instance where both teams kind of got what they wanted to out of this trade, because Donovan Mitchell's been amazing in Cleveland. The surprises for me coming out of this ball game were that Mike Conley was still very good. I thought that he would go back to just kind of hanging onto the steering wheel. And instead, he only took 8 shots, so I guess he didn't do that much more, but he was hot. He made 5 of them. So not everything I thought was wrong. He had 9 assists because his teammates also made shots. That's important. He was never a drop necessarily, but he was someone that I benched in some roto spots when it looked like he was just going to be content to have 9 points, 7 assists, and nothing else. Walker Kessler still being good was not a surprise. Jordan Clarkson only taking 11 shots instead of like 30, not a surprise. Malik Beasley not being streamable. Colin Sexton not being streamable, not a surprise. And Jared Vanderbilt taking a huge hit was also not a surprise. These were all the things we expected to happen. The only thing we didn't expect that still happened was Conley continuing to be better than he was before. Minnesota, man, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory in this ball game. They had it, and then they got outscored 9-0 down the stretch. I think the stat was something like they went 0 for 6 from the field with 3 turnovers. Yes, I shudder. I shudder at the thought. No Rudy Gobert. Foul trouble for Naz Reid going up against Nikola Jokic. That'll happen from time to time. And he still posted a nice line. 17 points, 3 boards, 3 blocks for Naz. He's all systems go, man. He's a triple burger stream for Rudy Gobert as long as Rudy is out. Slow-mo, 13, 11, and 8, 4 steals and a block. Incredible 9-cat stream guy. Missed his free throws again, but the rest of the line was so damn good that, it's hard to be particularly upset about it. You just keep rolling with those guys. Denver side, nothing really there. Michael Porter Jr. had a bad ball game, but he'll be fine. And then Sacramento beat LA 116-111. I don't know if you guys saw the end of this ball game, but the Lakers got whistled for a clear path foul because they were trying to foul at the end of the ball game, and they fouled Rashawn Holmes when no one was between Rashawn and the basket. I mean, it was like, oh, Lord, Lakers. LeBron had a big line, but by all accounts, and this is going to seem a little petty of me, I guess, but this was, I thought, one of his worst games recently. Not fantasy-wise, because he's still just like trucking along as a first-round value since that early season injury, and he's number 16 on the season at this point, so like no complaints fantasy-wise for LeBron. But he settled for jumpers in this game, and you can tell by the 44% shooting. He's settled. He'd been on a vicious run. I mean, look at LeBron's recent ball games, but more than anything, look at LeBron's recent field goal percent in his ball games lately. In the Dallas game where they lost in a bunch of overtimes, too many jumpers. They almost still won that ball game, but they didn't. But look at all the other ones. 62%, 65, 50, 53, 62, 67, 56, 50. How many three-pointers do you have in those games? Typically 0 or 1. He had 2 yesterday, and he shot 9. That's bad. And I frankly think that might have cost the Lakers the ball. Not that you can blame it on LeBron because he has no help, but he wasn't doing the stuff that's been working, which is attack, attack, attack. The other note is that Thomas Bryant and Wenyen Gabriel have moved into a timeshare at the center position. Neither one of them is a start right now. So it's LeBron, and then if you're in a points or punting a lot of stuff format, Russell Westbrook. On the Sacramento side, no Domantas Sabonis. He was sick. He's very durable, has shown himself willing to play through most stuff, so he must have been pretty under the weather. Richaun Holmes came out of nowhere, 16 and 11 on perfect shooting. Sabonis has missed another ball game. You can probably go Holmes again, although he's not always going to have Thomas Bryant to pick on the offensive side. Kevin Huerter did more. De'Aaron Fox did more. Harrison Barnes did more. No surprise. And then Keegan Murray had 10 rebounds, which is, you guys remember, something we've been watching. Now, a lot of that was based on the fact that Sabonis wasn't there to grab every rebound. So that left more for Keegan Murray. But it is nice to know that it's in there. He had 10 points, 10 boards, and 2 threes. So it was a relatively quiet fantasy game overall. But this is kind of like okay, so if the Kings ever run anything where Sabonis isn't literally just playing for the defensive rebound, Keegan can get enough of them. And the Kings found a way offensively, which was basically just go right at the middle of the Lakers. And if you have the personnel to do it, which Sacramento does, there's no resistance for LA. Lakers have been playing better typically against teams that don't have folks that are willing to attack the bucket. Jump shooting teams, because they'll just sag off. They'll go under screens, things like that. Just as long as you're not getting into the paint and messing with poor Thomas Bryant, the Lakers have been somewhat content. To the LA's credit, they hang with everybody these days, but they just, they need a little bit more. And to the Kings' credit, they're now the number 3 seed. And our season win total bet, which I believe wasn't it over 32.5? They're almost there. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to collect that bet by the middle of February? Don't even have to wait until April. Go ahead and do it, Kings. I have I'm not going to say the number, but I have more money on the Kings season win total over this year than I typically put on wagers. But it's in my opinion, one of the best season win total things I've talked about on this show in the last 4 years, because it was okay, they got better pieces. They got pieces that fit and got rid of Luke Walton. It was a double bonus. And they only had to go up by 2 wins over the previous year. And De'Aaron Fox was a disaster last season. It was all anyway. All right, so that's your Wednesday recap. Let's transition over to Thursday, because I know you guys like it when we do the lightning round look ahead. So let's do that before we shut everything down here on this Thursday show. I know like I said, I got to try to move a little quick. Chicago is at Detroit. We're waiting on the status of DeMar DeRozan, because the Bulls have been off for a while. They're playing in Europe. I think this game's in Paris, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's why Chicago and Detroit have been off most of the week. If DeMar's playing, then all the Alex Caruso fun we were having evaporates, and it's probably all you really need to worry about there. Detroit, Jalen Duren lost his passport. He had plenty of time to try to find it, but we still actually don't know if he found it. But it sounds like he's feeling better, so at least there's that. If Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart are both in this game, I think you have to pretty much abandon ship on any other front court players for the Pistons. And frankly, I don't think I would start Stewart if he's at power forward. You're just at Duren at that point. And then you got Killian Hayes kind of rumbling along, and Detroit goes back to being a little bit, frankly, less interesting fantasy-wise. Warriors are in Boston. Should be a fun one if Golden State can keep up. They've been bad on the road this year. For Boston, Jaylen Brown did practice, but is still listed as questionable. We don't know if he's going yet as of this moment. If he goes, I don't think I start Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon. They got these big, big bumps when they had extra shots to take. I don't think that I can roll with them if they don't have those extra shots, but I'm totally fine starting the big men. Al Horford, Robert Williams playing tandem basketball again. Boston back to the lineup that they envisioned at the start of the year. Toronto, they're just playing their starters colossal minutes, so meh. Minnesota on the back-to-back, hosting the Raptors. The line suggests that Gobert is still out, so let's get Naz Reid and Slow-Mo fired back up again. Philly in Portland. I really want to know what the plan is here long-term for DeAnthony Melton. Like I said yesterday, I really don't like him as a do-nothing role player alongside Harden, Embiid, and Tobias Harris. I like him better running the second unit. If the plan is really just to let him stand around with the big-name guys, he probably ends up being a drop in that spot. But I'm trying to give him like 2 to 3 more ball games. I know it's hard to wait when he's been doing very little. But if he does settle into that spot, I don't want to have dropped too early, if that makes sense. Portland, nothing really, unless we get any sort of injury stuff coming over the course of the day. I'd like to see Josh Hart get his confidence back, but that's the only note there. Brooklyn and Phoenix. The Phoenix side is really all about who's in and who's out. We know Cam Johnson is making his return on a severe minutes cap, but he still needs to be rostered because at full strength, Cam is a top 70 type of play this year. We saw it last season when he had a couple weeks filling in for Jay Crowder. He was able to put up top 70 value. Chris Paul is also questionable for this ball game. So if he's back in there, that really shifts what you're doing with the Suns. Landry Shamet is back out again. So make sure you're not accidentally still holding on to him. You kind of just have to wait for all the game time decision stuff for Phoenix, and then you can make a call there. But we're certainly watching how Cam looks in his probably, 12 to 16 minutes, something in that neck of the woods. Don't use a games cap on him. If you picked him up in head-to-head, obviously you just take what he gives you. And then hopefully we see Chris Paul back for the Suns as well. On the other side of this game, Brooklyn, so far everything's played out exactly as expected. Kyrie Irving is back for this game after a rest day. That means that Seth Curry, TJ Warren, and Joe Harris are all very much a juggling act of who might have better value on a given night. And I expect Royce O'Neal to play better in this one as well. If you didn't do it earlier in the show, now that we're basically done, make sure you go pick up Dennis Smith Jr. That's the one. That's the move of the day. Also, hey, recorded listeners, come hang out with us on YouTube for the next one. I'll be doing it again tomorrow on Friday. Then you get your questions answered. SportsEthos.com, YouTube.com/SportsEthos, Ethos Fantasy BK. I am once again Dan Besbris on Twitter. DanBesbris. Hit me up if you want to be part of what we're doing here at Sports Ethos. We are recruiting podcast hosts. Oh, yes, I'm throwing a new recruiting pitch out there today. Do you want to cover a team in a non-fantasy sense? Meaning, do you want to basically be like a beat reporter that podcasts about the team that you love and you're ready to dig in on it? Hit me up on Twitter at Dan Besbris or email roster@sportsethos.com. Friends of the pod, have a delightful Thursday. We'll talk to you all tomorrow for the Friday Week in Review show. Those are always a lot of fun. So long, everybody. And to the friends here still watching live on YouTube, I got family members like sliding in and out of the room behind me. Let me switch over to the let's switch over to the player ranking page. And I'm going to send out one last tweet on this, just letting folks know, doing the live Q&A segment now. Come join if you want to get your question answered rapid fire. Okay, that tweet is out. See if anybody shows up. Those of you that are hanging out with us, hit that like button and subscribe. I still see a few of you that haven't done it. Hopefully there are some new ones here that joined partway through. I'd love to get that up and over 30 before we sign off for the day. But whatever, let's go in. Let's start diving into the questions because, like I said, I don't have a ton of time. Oh, yeah, also that YouTube viewers, I expect to see you over on Twitter. All right, let's make my face small. Hello, Nest. I have some play-by-play I have to do tonight, so I can't talk for too long on this question and answer segment. Got LaMelo and Jabari on the same team. Needless to say, I already picked up DSJ. Good call, Brooks. Is Jabari's injury that bad? I don't believe so. I think he got pushed into the kind of questionable joint. KJ Martin is the pickup if he's down. And that's more for the head-to-head side anyway. Man, they don't want to play Eason more than 20 minutes. Y'all keep wanting them to, but they're not doing it. Yeah, you're going to be all right. Interesting. All right, well, we'll see. They're not going to rush him back. Drop Okongwu to stash Isaiah Jackson. Yeah, actually, I think that is a better stash. I think there's a higher probability that Miles Turner gets moved than Clint Capella. Painful. All right, well, we'll see. Maybe he's back in a game or two instead of a couple of weeks. But I think you can drop Terrence Mann. Specifically when the stars are in there, he's just not going to get to do all that much. Can I drop Ingles for Dennis Smith Jr.? Yeah, I think you can. We've heard that Giannis and Middleton might both play on Saturday. So Ingles ain't going to get to do that much when the horses are back there. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Should I add DeLon Wright? Yeah, I'd add him over Patrick Williams. I'm fine with that because it sounds like DeMar is probably coming back. And if it's not this game, it'll be the next one. Fingers crossed, 3 gold ribbons. Yeah, maybe. Yes, Aaron. Mark Williams is a very interesting stash. No question about it. Even if it's not this year, next year. So he's a absolute keeper guy. And then if anything goes on with Mason Plumlee, maybe we get lucky and he gets a little bit of juice earlier. Yeah, he's probably gone by now. Yep. Yeah, Gafford. Bye, Gafford. BSL is trading away Christian Wood for Josh Hart. Wood is spiked and Hart. Yeah, Hart's gone the wrong way. Wood's gone up. They'll each kind of go back the other direction at some point. Wood's not going to fall off. He's settled in now, but Hart's going to get his confidence back. So don't worry too much. Thanks for hitting the thumbs up. I hope everybody else does as well. I think only 1 or 2 of you did it. My last plea. Come on, man. If you're asking me questions, you got to do a thumbs up. This week I'm taking easy, no moves or anything. Oh, Middleton comes back. Yeah, nothing about Towns yet. Durant can get higher spot. Towns have. Yeah. You were number 12 on the likes button. Cool, man. Fave Pizza. Steve Vidovich, our director of content, by the way. One of the most knowledgeable fantasy players that I know. Football and basketball. I don't know. He has space for all that in that dome. Needs a bigger head. We call him Dirty Steve. My favorite pizza is Meat Lovers. Give me all the beef on that bad boy. Because I am lactose intolerant. So on a pizza like that, I can tell them to basically just leave the cheese off and it still tastes delicious. Sometimes I'll just take a pill. Hey, man, appreciate that. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Thanks, bees. LeBron or Giannis for a punt free throw team? It's Giannis. Because LeBron actually hasn't been that bad at the free throw line. He's at 76% this year. Giannis is all about, let's reload this page so we can punt a category. Let's punt free throw. And you'll see Giannis there and LeBron ever so slightly in front of him here. But, I mean, for Giannis, the 52% shooting is the big issue. His stuff likely all gets better when Middleton comes back also. So just bear that in mind. I'd go Giannis, punt free throw. I know LeBron has been a little bit more well-rounded in that respect, like a couple more three-pointers, things of that nature. Giannis's stuff is so difficult to replicate. And then for LeBron, the hope is that he doesn't have to do this much as Reeves, Walker, and AD come back for the team. So hopefully you guys were able to see what I was doing there on that Basketball Monster page. Is Jaden Ivey, Thomas Bryant, Dan Gafford to drop in category leagues? Bryant and Gafford, definitely. Ivy is more of your luxury stash. You hope that his percentages improve as the season wears on. Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, I have talked to you on Twitter. Welcome over to YouTube. It is 1:17 in the morning here. Go to bed. No, I'd rather have Josh Hart rest of season because if LaMelo comes back, then Dennis Smith Jr. goes back to nothing, and Josh Hart will always be better than nothing. I'll go Kyle Lowry here. I think Jalen Williams, he's on a really nice run, but remember, a lot of his value spike came in when Poku and Jeremiah Robinson Earl went down. I think he keeps some of this, so he's not going to fall all the way back to where he was. But Lowry has top 50 potential. We've seen that this year. He probably sits at like 70 when everybody's healthy. Williams is probably back closer to like 80 to 100 when everybody's healthy. Sweet, man. Appreciate it. At Dan Bespers for everybody else. You guys, there it is. You can see it small on the screen. DANBESBRIS. We got to get you guys over on Twitter. Oh, boo. Worst players on your team, Horford and Melton. Would you drop either of these guys for a Dennis Smith Jr. stream? Yeah, I mean, I would be more inclined to do. I'm not dropping Horford. He's been fine. If you want to drop Melton and not give him another 2 or 3 games to see if this thing, if everything's okay, that's fine. That'd be the way I'd go. Well, Williams is playing a little bit now, at least. That makes him an easier hold in my eye. Because he's getting his 18 minutes behind Plumlee. Jackson basically like isn't even playing when Miles is playing full starters minutes. So he's a tougher stash. Who's the more likely player to get traded between Miles Turner and Mason Plumlee? I honestly don't know. It's really hard to say. I would say Plumlee more likely because he probably comes a little cheaper and the Hornets are much more obviously tanking. But I don't know. You've got Kawhi and Ingram. What do I do? I mean, Kawhi's been fine, man. He just sat out the back-to-back. We always know he's going to sit the back-to-back. He's actually been like kind of brilliant outside of a back-to-back sit. In fact, I think he's the first rounder over. Yeah, look at that. Last 3 weeks, Kawhi, number 12. What do you do with Kawhi? You love it. You waded through the terrible stuff. You're fine now. Not much is my answer to that. Joe not going to do a ton when they're fully healthy. Should I trade De'Aaron Fox and Scary Terry for Dame Lillard? Yeah, probably. Why not? 9Cat. The real answer to this is, do you have the depth for this trade for Dame? And if you do, then I say go for it. Should I trade Thomas Bryant and Time Lord for Şengün and Giddey? Ooh. Well, Time Lord is my favorite player in that group. Thomas Bryant's a drop. So you're kind of trading down a little bit. But if you need the depth and if you believe in Şengün and Giddey that they can kind of like stay in that 60 to 100 bucket the rest of the year, then it's a perfectly fine trade. Yeah, I might do it because Time Lord's going to sit out back-to-backs. Giddey might go into a... Yeah, you know what? I don't think the Thunder are going to go full tank this year. I think they're just going to play it out, see what happens, because they got a bunch of dudes already. Thought they'd go for Wembanyama. It might be too late for them there. We'll see. Yeah, this one's fair. I'll go either way. Whoop. That's a lot of logos, Jeffrey. Emojis up the... You know what. Yeah, a lot of these guys are beat up. Some of them not so much. There you go. Not a fantasy question. What move would you want to see the Lakers make ahead of the deadline? I want the Pacers, man. That's the one that has always made the most sense. Miles Turner and Anthony Davis guarding a rim allows the Lakers to do whatever they want with the other guys on the floor because you can just funnel everyone back there, and there's rim protection pretty much no matter what you do. And then Buddy Hield is exactly what the Lakers need in terms of floor spacing. They need guys around LeBron that can both slash, hit free throws, and hit a three-pointer. And I know Hield's not the best defender, but he's like slightly sub-average. That's good enough if you have AD and Miles Turner. The Lakers right now are looking more at fringe stuff like Cam Reddish and whatever. But they're a playoff team when they're healthy in my eyes. If they get AD and Reeves and Walker back, that's a team that's 500 or better. But they're not a championship contender unless they do something special. That's a tough call in head-to-head on Vassell. He probably comes back like right around when the head-to-head playoff start. I'm actually okay if folks need to drop him. Should I drop TJ McConnell for Jabari Smith Jr.? I mean, the answer is probably yeah. But you're going to get more out of McConnell in the short term. That's for damn sure. JC, I don't remember seeing your name around here before. Welcome. Would you take Jared Allen to trade away Zach LaVine? Pretty fair. That TJ McConnell thing was a points league question. It doesn't change my opinion all that much. The answer is probably yes, but yeah. This is relatively fair. I think I'd rather have Zach LaVine in a vacuum, but only you really know what stats your team needs. So if you need big man stats, it's fair. It's not out of this world unfair. If you're just looking for best overall, then it's probably Zach. Appreciate you guys. As I said it before. Okay. So that's about the Vassell question. Yeah, he's tough hold. Verdugo Pizza in Glendale. Thanks, Beans. Great. We got the word farts on one of our broadcasts now. Yeah. Kawhi, monster these days. No, I'm actually probably dropping Gabe Vincent. He got a bunch of extra minutes because that was a blowout yesterday. PG and Rozier. Ugh. I hate, dude. Paul George is going to be back out again in 3 weeks. I'm not trading Durant unless I get someone back who's reliably healthy. In 12 teamers, no. In 16 teamers or deeper, yes. On Jay Crowder. Keeping an eye on Zach Collins. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Although he could get moved also. Keep an eye on Zach Collins and Charles Bassey because we know Jakob Poeltl is on the trade block. Why is Bogdan Bogdanovic buy low? Well, because he's been shooting terribly. When he shoots better, he's top 80. When he shoots poorly, he's not. And he's probably better than top 80 when he's shooting well. He's like in the 100 range even when he's not playing all that well. But he has plenty of opportunity. And if they trade John Collins, which, he's always on the block, maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they trade John Collins, he probably picks up a little more playing time because they'll run smaller for stretches. Rubens, my man. Go Bears. You're welcome. Yes, I definitely would. Because now you're not punting free throws anymore. And Steph's been better than Giannis regardless. The only way he's not better is if you're punting free throws. That's it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it doesn't seem like too many teams are in hard sell mode. The main guy I would look at would be Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Jakob Poeltl, Josh Richardson in San Antonio, Mason Plumlee in Charlotte. Although, Charlotte might just go in a 1-year tank because LaMelo's been hurt all year and then just like try to retool for next season, but they'd have to bring him back. And Chris Paul not playing. He was questionable, but he got ruled out in the morning, which I guess is not the greatest piece of news. I think Phoenix is off, and then they've got a back-to-back. Maybe he'll be back for like the second half of the back-to-back or something. That's not the last piece of news you want signing off. Thank you, everybody. Lots of questions today. This was a bigger... all right. Hey, man. Maybe I'll spend a little more on that. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Love the feedback, especially when it's kind and constructive. Thank you for all the questions, everybody. Once again, I would ask all of you to please, and I'm make it bigger here, Twitter, @Dan_Besbris. We do a lot over there. If you're watching these YouTube shows, you must follow me on Twitter. Please do, before you sign off, hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube page. This was a fun one today. I'm really glad we got to jam this one in. A busy Thursday morning of YouTube viewers. Anyway, hugs and kisses. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. So long, everybody.